The time is now 6 p.m. Our regular city council meeting for August 24th, 2021 is now in session. First on the agenda is Councilmember Brown will lead us with the opening prayer and the pledges of allegiance to the flags of the United States and the state of Texas. Please rise.
Bow your heads. Good evening, Lord. We gather tonight to move our city forward and discuss our future. We ask that you guide us with sound understanding, clear purpose, and good intentions as we listen, discuss, and make decisions. We also ask that you protect our protectors. Continue to bless us with your bounty, and we especially ask that you protect those in harm's way as they evacuate war-torn Afghanistan. In your name we pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Okay, we'll move on to city events, announcements of upcoming events. Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Okay, up first, on Friday, August 27th, is going to be the Tml Region 7 meeting, and that's going to be in the Hilton Garden Inn in Live Oak, and that's from 4:30 to 7:30. On Monday, September 6th, the city offices will be closed for Labor Day. On Tuesday, September 7th, will be the next regularly scheduled city council meeting here at 6 o'clock. Tuesdays, starting September 7th through October 12th, will be the Fall 2021 Adult Cornhole League, and that will be from 6 to 10 p.m. On Saturday, September 11th, will be Paws in the Pool at Pickerel Park Pool, and that will be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So there's a limited capacity sessions at 10 a.m., noon, and 2 p.m. Registration is required on Schertz.com. And $3 per person, up to 2 dogs per person. More information on the website if you need it. On September 12th, which is a Sunday, through October 17th, the Fall 2021 Adult Kickball League will be kicking off from 6 to 10 p.m. And then finally, on Tuesday, November 2nd, the City of Schertz will be holding its general election for the purpose of electing council members in Place 6 and Place 7 for a 3-year term from November 2021 to November 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Okay, next is announcements and recognitions by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
I have none this evening, Mayor.
Announcements and recognitions by the mayor. I don't have any either. So we'll move on to the hearing of residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the city council. Each person is limited to 3 minutes, and we ask before addressing the council, for the record, please state your name and address. Mayor Pro Tem, could you please call our first speaker?
Only have one speaker tonight, and that will be Maggie Titterington.
Good evening, Council. Just a few things that I wanted to bring up. Last Friday's Chamber Bowl was a big success. Thank you to some of y'all who participated as bowlers. We had 187 bowlers for both corporate and lunar sessions. We're finalizing the numbers, but we think that the DECA programs at both Clemens and Steele High Schools are going to be very surprised with the check that we get to give them on the September 21st luncheon, which leads me to talk about the September 21st luncheon, which is our Civic Leaders Luncheon. We have and are in the process of extending the invitation out to the council candidates and incumbents for the cities of Schertz and Cibolo, as well as the Green Valley Special Utility District and the school board. And so we are expecting all the tables to be filled, probably about 21 tables. If anybody is hearing this video and needs to contact us to register for that luncheon, please call the chamber at 210-619-1952. This Friday is our Coffee at the Chamber, hosted by Club at Garden Ridge. That is from 7:30 to 9 a.m. Come by for a free cup of coffee and a breakfast treat and visit with us. And last but not least, September 3rd, we have a ribbon cutting at the Chamber offices, 10:30 in the morning, for Watchdog Elite Services. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda items. These are considered self-explanatory, and information packets are provided to council and available for public viewing. These items require no separate discussion unless requested by council. Item number 1, approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of August 10th, 2021. Item number 2, the appointment of Jimmy Odom as a regular member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, filling in the vacancy of Mr. Ken Greenwald. The appointment of Ms. Judy Golek from Alternative 2 to Alternative 1 position, and the appointment of Mr. Richard Bond to the City Council Planning and Zoning Comprehensive Land Use Comprehensive Plan Subcommittee. Item number 3, ordinance number 21S31, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, to approve a specific use permit to allow the operation of a convenience store with gas pumps on approximately 8.35 acres of land, more specifically described as the northwest corner of the intersection between Interstate Highway 35 and Schwab Road, City of Schertz, Comal County, Texas, and this is our final reading. Item number 4, resolution number 21R80, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the acceptance of the approximately 1 acre of land located adjacent to Fire Station number 3 from Schertz 1518 LTD in accordance with the development agreement of TERS number 2 and related matters in connection therewith. Item number 5, resolution number 21R83, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the Schertz Parks and Recreation Master Plan 5-year update needed for grant application to the TPWD Local Parks Grant Program. Mayor Pro Tem, will you please read the rest of them?
Item number 6, resolution number 21R-84, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing expenditures in an amount not to exceed $55,110 with 4B asphalt paving. Item number 7, resolution number 21-R-85, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing approval of the allocation of funds for the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 8, resolution number 21-R-89, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an addition of 6 employees to the EMS department and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 9, resolution number 21-R-90, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to renew the agreement with Arthur J. Gallagher & Co. to provide health insurance broker services and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 10, resolution number 21-R-91, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to sign an interlocal agreement for fire protection services in Guadalupe County between the City of Schertz and the City of Seguin and other matters in connections therewith. And resolution 21-R-92, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an escrow agreement regarding sewer facilities for the Quick Trip Corporation and other matters in connection therewith.
Thank you. Council, do any of these items need to be pulled for separate action? Okay, is there a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 11?
So moved.
Second.
We have motion by Councilmember Whitaker, second by Mayor Pro Tem Dalla. Council, any other comments? If none, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. We'll move on to our discussion items. Item number 12, ordinance number 21T34. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021 budget to provide funding for construction of the Aviation Heights Water Line Improvements Phase 5, 6, and 7 project, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance and providing an effective date. Ms. Schertz, right? Okay, you have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you for your time. This ordinance is coming to you today because we have been working on the Aviation Heights project. It's been in design since last year, and we've bid the project. We have reviewed all of the bids, and the bids were a little bit over our estimated budget, which we used. So this ordinance is trying to catch up the funds we need to complete the construction so that we can officially award the contract to MC Fonseca. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you. Okay, council, floor is open for discussion.
Seems rather clear. Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 21T34.
Okay. We have a motion made by Councilmember Scagliola, second by Councilmember Scott. Council, any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. All right, we'll move on to item number 13, ordinance number 21T35. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021 budget to provide services for Joint Base San Antonio-Randolph, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance and providing an effective date. Okay, Mr. Mabott, you have the floor.
All right, Mayor and Council, I'm Jason Mabott, I'm the EMS Director. This is related to Resolution 21R89 to hire 6 employees. We're looking to do that this fiscal year to start them on board, and we're looking at 9/11 to start those 6 employees. So this is an ordinance to do a budget adjustment for that.
Okay, thank you. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. Yes, Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Dalla.
All right, I just want to say congratulations on getting that contract with Randolph. That was a great win for us. So, and if nobody has any other comments, then I'll make the motion that we approve item 21T-35.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Dalla, second by Councilmember Brown. Council, any other comments? If none, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we'll move on to our public hearings. The first one is a public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. I'd just like to remind our audience, our residents here, that we will have a second public hearing that's scheduled for September 7th, and at that point we will provide council with the ordinance to take appropriate action. Mr. Walters, floor is yours.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is James Walters. I'm the Finance Director for the City of Schertz. Kicking off the first item, the budget public hearing. Then the second one will come back for the tax rates. So the budget highlights, some of the expanded programs we have include a financial software replacement, new personnel, contracted building and facilities cleaning, fleet programs, animal care HVAC replacement, additional spam funding, and increased minimum wage. So the financial software replacement would be about $500,000, replacing our current software that's about 20 years old. The new personnel proposed, police, a new officer and an evidence technician, facilities a plumber so we can save on contracted labor. And the enterprise fund EMS is hiring 2 paramedics, plus the 6 paramedics you just approved in the previous items. And the water sewer will get a SCADA technician. On the contracted building and facilities cleaning, they're going to add the public safety buildings to the current cleaning contract, as well as the park restrooms. And I'll free up our staff to do more preventative maintenance rather than janitorial services. Under the fleet program, we'll have a heavy-duty tire machine. This is to replace the tires on our big equipment like our fire trucks and save on labor costs when we have to outsource that. GPS tagging will also be in the fleet programs. We've tested it on 4 vehicles in the EMS and have significant fuel savings, so we're hoping to get more data to help us realize some additional savings going forward. The animal care HVAC, the total project cost is about $700,000. Currently estimated the city will have to put in some funds for that. The road program going forward, we have $200,000 current in the maintenance budget for roads. We're proposing $400,000 for new rehabilitation and reconstruction to start not this coming year, but the year after. The current year funds are going to whatever we need to for the animal services facility. If those come in lower, then we redirect some of those funds to that program this year instead. After that, we'd have $600,000 reoccurring for the road program. The general target is about $2 million reoccurring. One change we did want to bring before council and have some discussion and feedback on. We had talked at the retreat about changes to the proposed minimum wage of $15 an hour. We had proposed the $15 an hour as $118,000 that we had proposed in the budget. Based on the discussion, we also added increases to address the compression related to that minimum wage move, as well as the hiring issues. And then we had talked with the ARP funds, and part of that we wanted to go towards finishing class and comp early. To do that would be an extra $39,500 overall in the personnel budget. That includes the net savings from the ARP, and staff is proposing to take that from contingency. So this first year cost of additional $39,000, we lower contingency, has started at $180,000, take some of that out and put that towards doing this program. The ARP funding is a one-time sort of bump to get us going. So after that, there would be an additional $89,000 reoccurring every year going forward. So that's the cost of us making these changes, about a position almost, that we wouldn't hire doing some of these accelerated programs. So the general fund proposed budget is just $39.3 million. It's an increase of $1 million or 2.7 from the proposed budget this year, not including in the infrastructure funding. Non-personnel budgets decreased 2.3%, and personnel budgets increased about 5.4%. That'll change a little bit once we bring back the change memo to council next week with a vote on the budget ordinance to include the minimum wage changes. All right, that ends my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. This is a public hearing. This item is, if anyone present excuse me, just a moment. Okay, this item is an open public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to address the council regarding this topic? Going once, going twice. Okay, public hearing is now closed. Council, floor is open for discussion. Yes, Councilmember Scott.
Yes, I thought you did a very good job on the budget. I've said that before. One of my things I was very pleased about, it was hard if y'all have not ever sat in on a budget meeting. I mean, it's many mouths to feed and everybody needs a piece, and so many departments. It's very humbling. I was very pleased that we were able to raise the minimum wage. I was also very pleased that the compression issue was addressed, because if somebody's been working here 5 years and they just got up to $15 an hour, and then somebody that we hire new starts out at $15 an hour, that can be very demoralizing. In the meetings, as we pointed out, it's $6,000 to $8,000 to hire a new person. We need to take care and reward our employees accordingly. Can you turn to page 10, please? And what is, I understand to finish the class and comp, and my understanding is the $39,500 is to address those shortfalls?
Yes.
And what is ARP an acronym for? A one-time ARP?
The American Rescue Plan.
Oh, okay. So it's coming out of that bucket. Okay.
Yeah, $212,000 would come out of that to help. The savings related to that will come here and help us get over that hump to accomplish these moves quicker.
All righty. That was pretty much what I had. I had a question on that, but overall, I had one more. The cleaning services for Parks and Rec, I did not write down the page number. I apologize. Okay. Is that commensurate, or are we getting a discount because they're already doing our cleaning, so they're just going to add that to it? Is that commensurate with the marketplace?
We have some cleaning services right now, but with all these extra facilities coming on, we're going to go ahead and rebid the entire contract to see if we can get some savings.
Fantastic. And I think it's very much needed, because Parks and Rec has a very limited staff. How many people work for Parks and Rec?
About, I think there's 8.
7 or 8? Yeah. I mean, that's a colossal amount of acreage to cover, and as a frequent visitor to the parks, I think that that's very well needed, and I think that is money well spent. But I would like to, I think it's good you're bidding it out. Okay. All righty, thank you.
Okay, council, any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Walters.
Mayor, can I make
Yes,
a comment?
yes.
So, Councilwoman Scott, to your question, can you go back to slide 10? So, yes, the budget increases our minimum wage to $15 an hour, and if you recall, council asked us to look into raising some selected other positions up to $17. So that is included in this. Now, we can't say we've taken care of every compression issue because we looked at it within the departments, but when you talked about across departments, we think there's still some compression issues out there, but we're going to have to work those the best that we can until we can do class and comp in 2 more years. And so I think, as you mentioned, there's a lot of need out there, and we've done the best I think that we can to address that.
I am so glad you said that, sir, because during the meeting, I was thinking maybe even $18 an hour, but it depends on a case-by-case basis. We need to support the people that are supporting us, because without the foundation, we crumble. And it's very disheartening to have employees and then they're trained, they're in the groove, and they go, to Universal City or somewhere else. Or as you mentioned in the meeting, there was a big main break, and so they were all out there. This was the sewer department or public utilities, water department. They were out there all weekend, then they had to go to work on Monday. How hard is that? At some point you need time, you're only human. And so I'm very glad you brought that up, Dr. Brown. And I know life's not fair, but as long as we're moving in the right direction, I think we're going to be okay as a city.
Council, any other comments? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Walters. We'll move on to number 15. Our first public hearing on our proposed tax rate. Once again, this is just a public hearing. There's no action required, and we will bring an ordinance to council and take appropriate action on September 7th. All right, Mr. Walters, floor is yours.
For the 2021 property taxes, this is a breakdown of your overall tax bill and what entity gets what portion of the bill the citizens pay. So City of Schertz is in the seafoam green over at the bottom. School district is actually the largest portion of the property taxes. And then you see the county and road on top of each of those. And then if you're in Bexar County, you also have the San Antonio River Authority, University Health System, and the community college on top of that as well. So the property values. So the current year taxable value was $3.9 billion. The new value was $3.9 billion, and we added $148 million of new development, new taxable value, for a total of just over $4 billion of taxable value in the city of Schertz. So the state has us take that information and calculate some different rates. One is the no new revenue rate. This is the rate that the city will gain the exact same amount of property tax revenue on properties that existed in both years. So not including any new development, so on existing properties, we would get the same amount. It also has a voter approval rate, so council can adopt a rate above the voter approval rate, but it would trigger an automatic election and go to the voters in November. I'll also show you the current rate and the proposed maximum that we had set at the previous meeting. So the no new revenue rate was 0.5146. The voter approval rate was 0.5242. The current rate is 0.5121, and the proposed rate is 0.5121. 1 penny is about $406,000 in revenue, or $26.25 on the average home. While the overall tax rate is staying the same, staff is proposing a tax rate swap between the INS, which pays the city's debt, and the M&O for the day-to-day operations. That swap is to help us stop paying debt for regular maintenance, especially on roads and buildings, and start paying cash. So there's a plan to move this now and then another 2 times in the next 5 to 10 years to move more money from debt into operations so we can continue that practice. So the average home value in the city of Schertz was $262,000. At the proposed rate, the tax bill will be $1,344. At the no new revenue rate, it'd be $1,351. At the voter approval rate, it would be $1,376. Historically, these were the tax rates have been for the city of Schertz. The largest increase has been in the M&O, or sorry, the INS. However, this is the largest M&O we have proposed since before 2006. So based on the budget and the tax rate, this is the 5-year forecast for the general fund. Plan to get to the 26%, close to FY 2026. We'll reduce our fund balance the current year, proposing to reducing it next year, and then kind of ride it out a little bit as we glide into the 26%. We do have a long-term debt model. This is to avoid large tax increases in the future whenever we do have to issue debt. So at the proposed tax rate of 1604, it includes the following debt issuances. So next year we have $9.4 million for 15-18. We have the $15.4 million for Fire Station 4 if it passes in November. And we have $3.6 million for FM 3009. A couple years later in 24-25, we could have another $8 million in infrastructure. 25-26 and 26-27 issue about $35 million for new public safety buildings. And then 28-29, another $15 million for general infrastructure. The current proposed tax rate can accomplish that, we believe, as well as lower the INS tax rate by another 2 cents and move that over to the general fund, which is about $800,000. And get us closer to that goal of paying cash for infrastructure repair. So with that plan, this is what it looks like as far as our annual debt payments, going from just about $7 million up to 10.5 by 2030.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Okay, this item is on the agenda as an open public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to address the council regarding this topic? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is closed. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. Yes, Councilmember Whitaker.
I just thought you did such a good job explaining it when we talked about it at the budget retreat, but just if people are paying close attention to that no new revenue rate and how that's actually higher than our current rate, but the fact that we have so many properties that are exempt from property taxes because of their military disability rating. So we actually have lost revenue from year over year. Is that what that first page? If you go back to the first page and our, the taxable value, and then is the equivalent taxable value, is that factoring in that loss from the veterans that are exempt from taxes? Okay. So I thought if you want to, I just completely ruined that explanation, but if you want to just go over that and explain it so that we can hear it again, because I think it's a really good point to make that we here in the city of Schertz have so many military members, which, you know, I'm a military family and I love, you know, being in a military community, but there is an impact because we allow property owners to, if they have 100% disability rating, they don't pay property taxes, but it affects our revenue, and so it's significant. So if you could just, in your words, explain that just so that we can remind ourselves why that is.
Sure. The state of Texas passed new legislation many years ago, about 2010-12 timeframe. That's when we really started to see it kick off. Veterans that qualify for the disabled veteran homestead exemption are exempt from paying all property taxes. They have given a lot for the country, and this was the state of Texas' way to repay that debt that everyone owes them. This is a very good program for those coming out of the military with disabilities. I think it goes a long way to help them have a sustainable living situation after the military. What was not considered perhaps as closely was veterans like to retire and live together in communities, usually around bases. Schertz is one of those communities that we have a high congregation of retired disabled veterans. in the area, and those exemptions are taking off the tax roll. So that's it. You actually see it here. We go from 3.9 million, 3,963,000 to 3,919 million. We actually lost taxable value on existing properties, and that was because we had another influx of disabled veteran homestead exemptions. The city of Schertz has over $500,000 in exempt value from this program, which is over 10%. About 12% of our taxable value is now exempt through this program. The state does have an aid program, so we request it. We got it this year. We'll request it again next year. I believe that should be funded more, as the communities that are most heavily affected aren't able to fully recoup any of as much as the lost property revenue. So that's why you saw the no new revenue rate go up, because we actually had to raise the tax rate if we wanted to bring in the same amount of revenue because of this influx of exemptions.
Does that no new revenue rate then, does that factor in some of that reimbursement or no? That just assumes we would not get reimbursed for any of that loss?
Right.
Okay.
I'll be on top of that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I thought that was a good explanation. I wanted to share it.
Okay, Councilmember Scott.
I have just one question, and it's on page 21, the $3,600,000 for FM 3009. Forgive me if I missed it, but is that for a current project, or is it for something that might be coming up?
Something that might be coming up. I believe TxDOT is working on the intersection design and getting property. This would be the city of Schertz's contribution to that project.
Okay.
Ultimate goal would be to go over the railroad track on 3009 and 78.
Oh, yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, council. Any other comments? Oh, I was just looking at the census that were just released, and our veterans, we total over 7,000 veterans in our community. That is about 17% of the population here in Schertz are veterans. So that veteran exemption is, it does have an impact on our city. But like you said, it's a small price for their service to our country. Council, any other comments, any questions? Yes.
Yeah, normally I'm banging the drum about lowering taxes and whatnot. This year I decided to take a short break. I do believe that we made a promise 5 years ago to bring the tax rate down below 50 cents. We raised taxes. It was necessary then. And I also reserved the right last year to say I told you so. And I did. I told you so. We could have reduced it more last year. Hindsight is always 20/20 for some people. I like looking forward to see what's possible. I'm not making a lot of comments this year because, quite frankly, these are some tough times. And I think the staff did a marvelous job of putting this budget together. I really do. And I believe the strategy we're on to lower the O&M rate to eventually be able to pay for a lot of those projects through the fund balance. That is a good strategy. I think we're working in the right direction. So I know a lot of you anticipated I would be, banging the drum. Sorry to disappoint. This is a good budget. Can we do better? Oh, you know we always can. But should we right now? Probably not. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. All right. No other comments? Thank you, Mr. James, for the presentation. We'll move on to item number 16, discussion regarding our City Merit Program.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Get this set up. All right. I'm going to be pretty brief tonight. I'm really here to hear from y'all. But wanted to talk a little bit about why this is on our radar right now, what our current merit model looks like. We did reach out and see what some of our benchmark cities are doing, so I wanted to share that data with y'all, as well as what we think the path forward will look like, again, and hoping for some input from y'all. So with that, as you know, in the past year, we've run through several compensation exercises from class and comp, and then more recently, the compression issue. And through each of those exercises, the topic of merit has come up. It is obviously intertwined as far as compensation goes. And so we took a look at what we're currently doing, and we also looked at some alternatives, but wanted to come tonight to council, like I said, to kind of make sure that the path forward we see is in line with what you see for this program moving forward. Right now, we've identified the program objectives, obviously the primary being pay for performance. Historically, this might not be how the merit program has been used, but going forward, it's really what we would like to focus on. Secondarily, and this is, and I'm going to say this again probably a couple times throughout the presentation, but this tonight, this talk about merit is really in regards to non-public safety staff, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit. But so secondarily, this is the merit program provides a vehicle to move employees through the pay band. So our current merit model and what that looks like, annual performance evaluations do serve as the basis for the merit increases. Just this year, we were able to offer additional flexibility, and so merit can be awarded in any amount from 0 to 4% using 10th percent increments. It is awarded in the form of a permanent salary increase, save for those employees who are maxed out of their pay bands, and then they receive merit award in a lump sum form. As I mentioned, sworn and certified public safety personnel have a different merit program that was implemented as part of the compression exercise. So this is non-public safety staff. And then just a bit of history, our current program is funded at 3%. We're going to talk about that. So you can see the merit allocation by department is based upon 3% of the total annual salaries of eligible employees. And we award merit in April of the fiscal year, so there's 6 months there. So it's really about a 1.5% for April through September, and then the second 1.5% is October and March through the next fiscal year. And the following factors are the basis for awarding merit pay. Obviously, the employee's performance, as I mentioned, serves as the basis as documented in their annual performance review. Of course, available merit funds, and then the recommendations and approvals of both the supervisors and the city manager's office. So, as we took a look at our current program, we identified some pros and obviously some cons. So what you see here is we believe that the current merit model has the potential and does, in many cases, reward high performers. We believe it also connects work to results. As I mentioned, the performance evaluation is the basis for the merit. Provides a vehicle to move employees through pay bands, again, unless you're maxed out. However, you know, we recognize that this is not a perfect program. It does come with its opportunities for improvement, and what we noted there is that historically, just meeting the standards. So, you know, if you show up to work and you punch your ticket and you say the right things, then you're going to earn a 2%. And what some folks feel like is that's not perceived as I'm going to say this word, but a true merit program, because they're receiving an increase not based on performing or exceeding expectations, but just merely meeting, right? And so that is, again, something that we're looking at moving forward, how we can actually reward those who are going above and beyond. And so with that, we have seen it create some morale issues among staff. Again, kind of a perceived fairness issue. If I feel like I'm, outperforming my neighbor, and yet we may be receiving a similar merit, can create morale issues. Okay, so we did reach out to staff recently, and I've compiled some of the results here, and I'm going to kind of go through this. Of course, y'all will have this to go back and reflect on, but we received 124 responses, which I thought was pretty good. I was pleased with that. You can see I've broken it down here. What we found, again, I'm going to kind of snapshot this, is what we found is that folks like the fact that our current merit program is a permanent salary increase, right? That's a big selling point for most folks. Many people appreciate the fact that we are seeking to reward and recognize performance. So those are some of the things that employees identified as having liked about our system. Some areas for opportunity. You can see the largest, and to no surprise, I don't think to anybody, is folks would like to see us be able to increase the max award that we're able to assign. Of course, we know with finite resources, may or may not be possible, but you know, close second or in there for second place, you can see kind of tied, standardized criteria for merit amounts, and then also communication and training of merit pay policies and procedures. So again, that's on us to again, going forward, hopefully do a better job at communicating how employees can benefit most from this program, and being as transparent as possible. You can see on number 4, I think overwhelmingly, folks are not in favor of a COLA or an across-the-board merit increase in lieu of a merit program, which again, I don't think was too surprising. With that said, as I mentioned, we did compile some benchmark data and wanted to provide that here just to give you an idea of how Schertz is performing, you know, when we look to our neighbors and kind of where we're at. And with the ECI that we've recently implemented, thanks to council, and with our merit program, you can see Schertz is at about 4%, give or take, total compensation when it comes to merit and ECI. As you'll see, none of our benchmarks are currently offering ECI. So that is something unique that Schertz is doing, which I think is really great. A great way for us to try to maintain market position rather than falling back, as we've seen has happened previously. So again, I think what we see here is we're kind of right in the middle of the pack in terms of what we offer. Some folks we know are above us and some are below us, but I think we're on track in terms of being competitive when it comes to merit. So with that, you know, meeting with management and kind of talking through the program, what we are recommending today is to maintain the current merit program with some minor changes. So we do want the annual performance evaluations to continue to serve as the basis for merit increases or merit awards. We are recommending merit to continue to be awarded in the form of a permanent salary increase for those employees who are not maxed out. Again, noting that sworn and certified public safety personnel do have a different merit system at this time. So the minor changes that we're looking at, and this is really with some feedback from staff, we think we can probably do a better job of implementing standardized award criteria so that we can hopefully scrap some of those discrepancies or those perceived fairness issues that we were talking about, maybe by implementing some streamlined criteria. Additionally, we would like to dispel past practice of just showing up and maintaining status quo would net you a 2% increase. Again, taking this and really seeking to reward high performers. And then lastly, this is something we've talked about because, you know, it continues to come up. We do have some employees, right, who for either because of tenure or because of past performance have performed really well, or they've made it deep into their pay bands. Some have exceeded that and are now maxed out. And because of that, they're no longer eligible for a salary increase. So an employee can sit in that position for many, many years and go without a salary increase. And so one of the things we'd like to look at here is maybe offering maxed out employees an opportunity to be eligible for a salary increase, say every 3rd year or something like that. Just again, so that they're not stuck there in, you know, perpetuity. You know the word I'm looking for. So again, just some minor changes, but preserving the program pretty much as it stands today. And again, really here to hear from council and how you see this program working for city employees going forward.
Thank you. All right, council, floor is open for discussion. Yes, Councilmember Scott.
Okay, I wish you had page numbers because I had several questions and it was hard to find what page it was on.
Sorry about that.
So at the beginning, the pay for performance, moving the people through the bands, the non-safety.
So yes, ma'am,
Yeah.
this one right here.
I
Pay
guess.
for performance.
No, I don't think that was it. I'll just won't refer to those, I guess. The one thing that kind of stuck to me was perceived fairness issues. There's always going to be perceived fairness issues because, number one, I'm not saying that there's not some standard or external criteria, but we're measuring to some extent not just human performance, but also human behavior. So if you're in customer service, if you're cheerful, you'd get higher marks than if you're just trudging through doing your job. And so some of that's very subjective. And so fairness is like a hot button to me. And the word feel, you use that a lot. We hear that a lot in the media. I feel disenfranchised. Well, I feel this way, I feel that way. That's extremely subjective. And again, it's very hard to measure something along those lines. 65% want to increase the max merit. Well, so do I. So does everybody, of course. You know, do you want more money? Yes, we all do. That's actually commercials on TV. What is ECI?
ECI is Employment Condition Index, so that is the inflation type factor that we are applying to the city's pay rates so that they will move along, like I said, to hopefully maintain some of the market position that we've gained through class and comp, so that when we come back to do this in a couple of years, hopefully, like I said, we'll have maintained a more competitive position rather than falling behind.
So is that the 1% that automatically, from the class and comp, the 1% annually?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
ECI?
It was approved at 1% in last year's budget per James's.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Secondly, I don't have pages, so I just have to tell you what, I'm going along with this. The benchmark data, Georgetown and Cedar Park make substantially more household median incomes than Schertz. I'm not a fan of the methodology. I'm not saying it doesn't have credence or it's not good research or samples adequate. It's fine. I would love to see a copy of the survey in marketing, and in surveys, the size net that you use determines the size fish you're going to catch. And you're using words, and words, they're loaded. I mean, it's semantics. It's how you ask the question. You can actually prejudice the answer unconsciously or what have you. So I'd love to see a copy, just as a research director.
Okay, can I respond to
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Scott? So can you go to the survey data? So all we were trying to do was to survey our employees and give them an opportunity to speak on their perceptions of the program. So it's just a data point. And we're not saying we agree or disagree with it, but we felt like council ought to know, what where the employees were on their merit program. So that's all we were trying to do.
I understand, Dr. Brown, and I'm a fan of hard workers, and I think you're doing a great job. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm pointing out what I'm looking at, just seeing this for the first time. I think, I don't want to sound disparaging. I get real fired up about research because I did it so many years, and sometimes it comes off as confrontational. I don't mean that. But in my job, I had to confront bad statistics for a living, so I still carry some of that with me, and that's why I get fired up. So please don't take it as disparaging, okay?
No, I just wanted to explain it.
I understand. I appreciate that. I think I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm going to let it go to other council people. Personally, I think it's very dangerous to get rid of the merit increase. The thing that really hit me was to dispel the past practice that meetings, I guess it was meetings, I don't know, I was writing fast, automatically earns a 2% increase. I think I wrote that down wrong. Dispel the past practice, meeting standards, thank you, Councilwoman, automatically earns a 2% increase. There's something to be said for people that show up and do their job. And if they do it and it's good enough, they should get 2 or 3% or what have you. And the danger of this to me is that it can get political really fast. And I'm not saying there's not some empirical thing in it, but if somebody does really, I lived in the corporate world for years. You got to manage up as well as down, right? But it can be perceived as unfair if, okay, a high earning person and they're hitting it out of the park, they're being spectacular. Like Mr. James with that budget, man, that rocked it. It blew the roof off. It was so good. But if he got a bigger merit raise than somebody who's very low working, I think it's dangerous to say you can't get your 3% because you're not as proficient. I think that would set a dangerous precedent, and I would want to protect the merit raise without messing around with it as it stands.
Well, and again, I would say for that, the fact that we are able to give the award in tenths was a big improvement for us. So for example, before you either got a 2% or a 4%. So that's really where that perception came into play, was that folks felt like, okay, if I wasn't if I was a high performer, I'm going to get 4%. If not, I'm going to get 2%, and that's all I can do, and that's where that came from. I think we have helped address that by being able to have more flexibility for department heads to award from 0 to 4%. So I view that as probably not as big an issue moving forward.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Dalla.
I guess Dr. Brown just kind of answered one of my questions there a little bit about dispelling the past practice about meeting those standards, getting a 2% raise. You know, getting anywhere from 0 to 4, you know, is probably a better way to do that. And, you know, as long as you have the standards and the metrics to be able to justify, you know, what it is that you're going to award the employee. I think overall, I think we're heading in a good direction on tweaking this. You know, one thought that I had is, you know, as part of this, maybe we look at a portion of this merit pay being a permanent pay increase, and maybe part of it being a one-time lump sum. You know, if somebody really overachieves, maybe you get the 4% plus you get an extra $500 or, you know, whatever an appropriate number is for that. Just a thought to put out there for consideration. That's all I have.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Whitaker.
Yes.
So I think, Dr. Brown, I was going to ask you to highlight the differences, because I think I got lost maybe in the different discussions. But the differences was like what Dr. Brown said, we went from an automatic either 2 or 4 to anything from 0 to 4. Okay. My only statement was just that I know it's just a personal philosophy, and so I think every employee is going to come into this with a different philosophy. But since I had the privilege of being elected, I will share my personal philosophy. I believe that, you know, if you come and you do your job, you get to keep your job, and you get paid a salary, and we should be paying the salaries that is what's deserving of that position. So I am very thankful for the job that I have, for all the jobs that I have had in the past. You know, sometimes I worked in government for years and sat right next to people who, you know, didn't come to work, and we all got paid the same thing, and it's frustrating, but I still believe that it's the right thing to say, you know, we want to, you know, and I think you guys addressed that already in the salaries and trying to get people to get paid what is appropriate for the market. And on that point, the $15 an hour, I think it's important to note that that was not an arbitrary thing, because it's a discussion point, like we just have to get to this $15 an hour. We were losing employees because we weren't paying that, and other places were, and that work was worth $15 an hour, and we'd like to keep our employees, and we have found that we pay more with the retraining of new employees. So I think that meets that, you know, taking care of our employees and our staff and making sure that they're getting paid what their efforts are worth. And it could be a semantics thing, but, you know, when you do say merit program, I think people do think that if the word is merit, I guess you'd have to look it up in a dictionary to see exactly what it means. But I think, generally speaking, people understand it as you've done something extra, and so it's kind of a bonus. So I think that idea of getting that 2% for meeting standards, to me, wouldn't have made sense. And I do think that it was the right, you know, idea to move forward to a 0 to 4%. And, you know, it can also have to, you know, your attitude in those annual reviews, and, you know, just in the workplace of, like, we appreciate you, thank you for doing your job, and we just want to highlight some of these, you know, top performers, and they're going to see a financial reward. And everybody has the opportunity to do that, you know, and to get that financial reward if you just kind of chip in. And, I think about I have 3 children. They're still at home. And so, you hope that some of them, when they do really good things, that the brothers will look at that and you highlight the positives and you say, look at what your brother did, good job. And maybe the other kids will see, like, I agree, it's a good example and they're getting praise and rewards for their good behavior, and maybe that would encourage them to come along. So as a philosophy, I'm just saying I agree with the idea that we pay our employees and our staff what their work is worth, and that a merit program should be a bonus on top of that to appreciate and highlight, like you said, over and above. And there's different levels of that. Some people, my child just was on Blue, which for elementary school parents understand that you can be on, like, red is bad, orange, yellow, green is good, you've met the standards, good job, but blue, you went above and beyond. Well, he went on Blue the other day and I asked him why, and he was kind of embarrassed, and he said, well, I picked up a piece of trash. I'm like, well, okay, that wasn't doing a whole lot, and he earned Blue, but he was very proud of that. But there are other kids and other opportunities to earn Blue that have done a bit more, helped out throughout the day or whatever. So I like the idea of highlighting good, better, best kind of a thing. So that was a lot of words to say. I think that shifting to a 0 to 4% flexible scale is good, and merit being thank you for doing more than what we've asked you to do when we hired you.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Brown.
Okay, we'll leave it to Councilman Scagliola to wrap it up, but again, change is never easy. Let's just put it that way. And you're never going to please everybody all the time. We know that. I think you've come up with a great solution to work on, and it's not all going to happen in 1 year. It's going to take some time to implement. And I know, you guys are working very hard at making it work for yourself, because you're the ones in the workforce. You got to talk with these people every day. The standardized criteria, and the fact that we've implemented the ECI, I think that's going to definitely soften any perception of a lack of raise, or a lack of an annual increase. So that should soften things up a bit. So it's a good job. Keep working on it. I'm in favor of the direction you're going.
All right, Councilmember Scagliola.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. How much is budgeted towards merit?
In 2020, it was approximately $205,000.
How much?
$205,000.
And this year's budget?
I'm not sure.
Gosh, I thought it was somewhere around 400,000. Anyway, how many employees in the city?
Approximately 400.
About 400. And how many are awarded the top 4%?
So merit eligibility, differs and changes year to year. Folks who are on probation, so new hires or folks who have been promoted or transferred and are in probationary status, are not eligible for merit. I would say whenever we had just the 0 to 4, there was about 40 employees who would receive a 4%.
And the rest of them something less, huh?
So, James, I thought we were around 400,000, split between the 2 fiscal years. Total 300.
Okay. All right. So 40 out of 400, top 10%. That leaves 390 disenfranchised employees potentially. I'm just being controversial here. Hey, yeah, I saw the results of this, and man, do you really care about a merit pay program at a 2.66? That more than half the people don't care about the merit pay program. That's what that tells me.
Yes, sir. So I would say that's kind of a twofold or two-part answer. One, and I did separate it out because if this should have rose, I wanted to be prepared. So you see that the survey was sent to both public safety and non-public safety individuals. And you can see, so I broke it down further, what the average satisfaction level was for non-public safety and public safety. You can see for non, it's 2.95, and for public safety, 2.20. A couple of things. One, I would say, whenever the public safety, I'd like to address first. So with the implementation of the new pay models for public safety, so that we could effectively address the compression issue, we did make a change to their merit program at that time. We did reduce the amount of merit that was available to them as we were implementing an automatic increase step system, right? So we reduced merit. So, like, not surprisingly, many members of public safety are not thrilled with their merit program as it stands right now, in conjunction with the new compression models. I think that is the biggest reason that you see for public safety having such a low score. The non-public safety, you know, I think, and I actually went through and looked at the folks who rated the program a 1 or a 2 to really understand what the issues were. And I think what I found was almost everybody who rated it a 1, they rated it a 1 because they felt like, and I'm going to say this true merit, they felt like if it was a true merit, then they wouldn't be they wouldn't be boxed into what they could offer an employee for their performance. So it was about having more money and being able to increase the max award for merit. That's really what I saw in the results, sir. And I'd be happy to send you, you know, additional details on the results that we compiled from the survey.
But it's interesting that it was telling that folks do not prefer a COLA system. But, you know, you get 124 individuals out of 400. That's 30-ish% or so of the respondents. Yes, I wonder about the statistical significance of that. It just bothers me. It seems like we're putting an inordinate amount of effort into something that most of the people just doesn't matter. Does it matter to me? Well, yeah, we need to award superior performer. Back when I was a doctoral candidate, I wrote a little, it's only 3,500 words, but it takes a systems approach to merit pay. And I'm not going to read, I'm going to keep it under 3 minutes, I promise. Brenda's sitting there. She pushed the button, okay. Anyway. I took a systems approach in incentives in the city of Schertz, because it just happened to have been a topic that came up, and it seemed appropriate, and plus I needed something to write about for the week. So it says, the city's leadership understands the importance of creating an engaged, motivated, productive, and dedicated workforce, and believes an effective incentive program will support those objectives. And I think we're probably still there to this day. Research concludes organizations may save money by using a PFP or merit program as a mechanism to retain skilled workers and reward performance, without the need to adjust and inflate pay charts. Now, unfortunately, that's not one of the things we do in this city, because the pay charts are inflated. But the benefits are potentially increase motivation, performance, provide a mechanism to differentiate individual workers, promote worker self-determination, may create healthy competition between employees. I think those are all valid things. But I'm an analyst. I'm a critical thinker. I tend to look at things inside out and then backwards. The negatives. Drawbacks in mismanaged or poorly managed programs, the possibility of healthy competition turning into open conflict, focus on individual performance may supersede team engagement. From ethical perspective, such programs, like the carrot and the stick, are designed to change behaviors, which some employees may consider insulting or intrusive or more controlling and motivated. The absence of rewards may be viewed as punishment, could demotivate or stigmatize your average employees. Third, such programs assume all employees are motivated by monetary rewards. Fourth, a fixation on rewards may result in disregard for the rules, stifle innovation, and attempt to mitigate risks associated with making a mistake, reduce cooperation and teamwork when your focus is on the individual. Bottom line, like I said, it's 3,500 words. I'll let you read it if you like. I got an A on it. A good performance appraisal program enhances Performance productivity inspires motivated workers. Performance-based programs are possible and most effective when policymakers focus on the structure, the fairness, and reward behaviors aligned with the quality improvements in the organization, cost savings, and organizational objectives. So bottom line, yeah, merit pay programs. At one time, I said, hey, let's just do away with it altogether. We could find other ways to reward, but apparently now it is a good way. Two things I find problematic with our merit pay program. One, I don't like the idea of a percentage increase to a person's pay. Individual making $50,000 a year at 4%, well, you can do the math, versus somebody making $100,000 at 4%. No, I'm not going to stop talking, Brenda, sorry. The thing is, you know, it's you're trying to quantify a quality. You know, how much real benefit did the individual who's making $50,000 contribute to the other person? I suggest going with a fixed amount for a performance award or a re-award. And the other thing that really bothers me is we never intended for this thing to be a permanent pay increase. When we were setting up the merit pay program, and I was there during that time, that wasn't part of the equation, and it kind of shocked us when we actually found out that that's what's creating your compensation compression in a lot of these things. Remove the merit pay from the pay charts, the pay bands, permanent pay increases. That would do a lot to fix the compression issue that we seem to be wrestling with. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. But those are my two suggestions. Do away with the percentage. Find a fixed amount that's reasonable and would be respectable, perhaps an average amount, you know, in the different bands that you want to go for the level 1 through 4 or 0 through 4 as opposed to percentage 0 through 4. And the other is, like I said, take it away from the permanent pay increase. And that would solve problems as well.
Okay, thank
That's all I have, sir.
Okay.
Sure. If I could, just in response to, because something we did talk about, and you mentioned was, you know, the percentage of salary, so a high earner versus a lower earner, and how that shakes out. So we did talk about having some type of sliding scale, if you will, and you know, maybe what that would look like so that we could try to address that. But we can certainly also look at the fixed amount option as well.
Yeah, it was an interesting math problem. You know how much money you have for the merit pay program. It's easy enough computation to figure out who should get what. And you know, quite frankly, if you went with a specific dollar amount, you could maybe provide more incentives to more people than because I imagine there's a couple of high performers in the $80,000 to $100,000 range. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Council, any other comments? Yes, Councilmember Whitaker.
Sorry, I just want to chime in real quick on the, you know, the difference between the percentage and a fixed amount. I would just point out that I was thinking about this the other day, you know, 20 years ago when I started, and I look at what I lived off of at that point. You know, I was cutting coupons, and, you know, every little dollar was so important to me. And my salary reflected that. I have a little bit more cushion these days, so the same amount that would excite me now or then would not excite me now. I think that's why the percentage makes more sense versus a lump sum, because it's just, I think the percentage matches what would be felt as, you know, a bonus to that particular person, equal to where they are in that pay scale at that point. So I disagree with the lump sum, because I think that gets very hairy when you have a wide variety of pay amounts or salaries. That's all.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Scott.
Yeah, in the workforce, I've been a very low-paid person, and I've been a well-compensated person, and I like the percentage amount. I like it I haven't had it very much because corporate America is not like the government. You don't just get money. I'm not saying we do. I've never worked in government. But my sons are in the military. My husband was. There's cost of living increases, and it's just a given. In the corporate world, you eat what you kill. You know, you better be good or you're going away, period, the end. I've only had cost of living increases 2 different times, but they meant the world to me. And seeing that even a percentage, it's fantastic. And it's very, I'm kind of with Councilwoman Whitaker on that point. I like the guaranteed percentage just to have that security and that little extra. And when you're a low earner, you know, 4 or 5%, it matters if you're clipping coupons. And when you're a high earner, it matters because you can get your kid a car, whatever. With that being said, I did like Scagliola's comment, Councilman, on the detriment to the group whenever and I'm a rugged individualist. I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about communism. Don't take me the wrong way. But whenever somebody's just out for their own selves, and it should be more aligned to what the whole city's trying to do instead of, boy, I've got to get this, I've got to beat you, I'm going to sabotage or whatever. There's real dangers involved, and he articulated them quite well. But I'm telling you, I've been on both sides of the equation, I mean high and low, and wherever you are, that guaranteed 3 or 4%, man, it means the world, and it's never disparaged. And I like that guarantee and that safety net. We need stability, especially these days.
Thank you.
Councilmember Davis.
I don't want to, but what the heck. It's a very interesting conversation tonight. I doubt that anything that's come from the dais up here is helpful to the staff, to be honest with you. I would like to say I'd be interested in seeing the raw survey data, if that could be sent to me, because the numbers that I'm seeing on your current screen are kind of interesting. And the response, like you said, you know, I've agreed with points from almost everybody up here. Councilman Scagliola, Councilman Brown brought up some good points. You know, you look at the numbers here, and I'm not sure how they all played out. But again, it seems like there's not overly a big interest, one way or the other, from the data that we're seeing here with regards to a merit program. I agree with the percentage. I agree with a lump sum. The problem with it is no matter what you do, you lose. Lump sums sound good to a point, so do percentages, but 4% to a director or a section chief is substantially different than 4% to a Parks 1 or Streets 1 worker. You know, in our budget discussions, we just talked about bringing the low end up to $15 an hour. And if you turn around and say, well, yeah, you're my #1 parks guy, we're going to give you 4% of your $15 an hour. At the end of the day, the guy or gal that's working their tail off to get that 4%, what are we saying to them? Oh, here's your check for whatever. I have concerns about a merit program that is never ending, where it changes their pay schedule. That does, in fact, impact the compression problem that we see there. Can you flip through some of your slides here?
Absolutely. You want to go?
I'll go slow. I'll tell you when to stop. I mean, like I said, could the merit program be improved? Yeah, the data that we see there, it's kind of all over the map. So, I mean, I'd like to see the raw data. And
Really?
like Dr. Scagliola, I'm currently working on my doctorate, and this is what I'm working on. So I'd like to see the raw data before I chime in on specifics. Next slide. Again, good seeing benchmark data. That helps a lot, I guess, going forward from the council giving input. Next slide. You know, we've done this. We talk about the merit program, but just recently we've turned up now with a different pay system and a different merit program for public safety. You know, so what's the end result of that? We don't know that yet. apparently, looking at some of the data here, public safety is not happy with their revised merit program, which is kind of ironic because what we approved for public safety came from the public safety personnel. Again, I think it's kind of early to come up with any final decisions. I think we have to look at some more data on that. But now again, we've got 2 merit programs that we're talking about. So when we look at the data, are we creating a further rift now between public safety and non-public safety personnel? And if we tweak one program, what does that do to the other program? To me, I think Dr. Brown is probably the best comments so far. It's a slippery slope. No matter what we do, someone's going to be happy, someone's going to be sad. I don't necessarily want to come up from here and say the staff should do A or B or C. Down here you've got minor changes, implement standardized award criteria. I don't think anybody up here on this side of the stage has offered any inputs as to how you standardize award criteria. So, to me, I don't want to weigh in on anything until I see something coming back from the staff on what exactly does that mean and how do you propose to do that, and especially with 2 different merit programs. Minor changes. The staff is saying dispel the past practice that meeting standards automatically earns a 2% increase. How are you going to dispel that practice? What are you going to do now as part of the evaluation program to sit there and say, I mean, is that what the staff is recommending, that if someone is showing up and doing their job and they're the average performer, that they in fact will not get a merit?
No,
And again, if that's the proposal, okay, but to me, before I sign off and saying, yeah, kill the merit program or implement the merit program, I'd like to hear how you're going to evaluate people. And again, it's not an easy task. You've got admin people, you've got public safety personnel, you've got firefighters, you've got EMS. They all have streets and water, utilities. The workload in every individual job category is just so unique. How do you turn around and say an admin person, is it how many how many pieces of paper they file each day? I mean, some departments are busy, some are not. I don't know how you smooth out the curve on this. I think it's a great presentation. I think it's a great discussion to have, but at the end of the day, we have a program now, and again, looking at the raw numbers or the numbers that were presented tonight, it seems like the employees are like kind of on it. It seems like staff is kind of non-committal either way on it. To me, I would say if you've got a proposal for a merit program, I would rather the staff come back with, here's what we're proposing for a merit program, and then we take it from there. Is it a discussion point on it's a true merit program and somebody's got to be stepping up above and beyond? And again, how are you going to measure that? I would be interested in knowing how you're going to measure that in the different categories, the different sections out there. Streets versus public safety versus fire versus an admin person. I'd be interested to know how you're going to look at your merit program for division heads versus supervisory versus non-supervisory personnel, because they all have different levels of performance. And again, at the end of the day, not committing to either a percentage or a lump sum, but at the end of the day, if you turn around and have somebody that's getting this huge merit bonus every year and somebody else is getting their $12.50, you're going to still have the same numbers where people are saying, yeah, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Here's my take on it.
I would just say, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and a lot of that makes a lot of sense. It's got to be executable, and it's got to be in a way that we can make sense of it so that it's not so complicated and has so many factors and so much research that we have to do. We have limited time. We have deadlines. The program works as it is. What we're saying is we think with minor changes, we can continue to move forward. Now, I'm happy to come back and brief you more specifics on what those changes would look like. But our advice right now is to maintain the program and look at some of these areas and then maybe give you more specificity on that. And then the other thing I would say is that these are living programs, so this is never done. We're never finished in terms of, we're never going to come back and say, this program's done, and by golly, we're never changing it. It's always going to be.
No, absolutely. But at the end of the day, for me, it's, are we taking care of our employees? And since I've been up here, we've done 2 class and comp studies that we've had outside organizations come back in and look and say, are we paying a fair wage for our various employees? Personally, I think each class and comp study had good points and bad points. I think they got some things right and they got some things wrong. But then again, that's just like us up here looking at it. They've got their other benchmarks. They've got their ways of doing their analysis. Even in spite of 2 class and comp studies, we've taken feedback from public safety, and I think it's fair to say that council has taken that input fairly seriously. We just didn't say no, it's not going to happen. We turned around and we took the input and we took action on it, and we've still got more things to do. In spite of 2 class and comp studies, we still have come to an agreement as a council that a living wage is something that we had to address, and the end result is we've set a new floor for our low end of the pay scale that makes us more competitive with our surrounding communities, and in turn takes care of our staff. We have a lot of other good programs that we implement to compensate our staff regarding medical insurance and retirement programs with TMRS, again with a 2-for-1 match. To be honest with you, I think that as we look at the merit program, I don't think it's a bad idea to look at least consider a cost of living type program. At the end of the day, if you have a merit program and a good majority of the people are getting a merit and they were getting at least 2%, you can make an argument that we're basically giving a COLA out anyway. And then beyond that, I mean, if you have someone who's a new employee or a part-time employee, at the end of the day, every year costs go up. So I honestly don't understand why we don't adjust our pay scale by a COLA, COLA plus something, COLA minus something. That's a budget argument that will torture James Walters for a long time to work numbers, but that's what he lives for. So I wouldn't mind having that as part of the discussion as well. And if we turn around and look at a COLA option as part of the proposal going forward, then again, that may make it easier to turn around and say, here's how we do a merit, because the merit would not be paid out across the board basically to everybody to some degree. Everybody's salary is adjusted by the cost of living. And again, if the cost of living doesn't go up, we're under a recession, salaries don't change, If cost of living goes up, then maybe that's a discussion that we have to cover that. That's how a lot of other folks in a lot of other communities and a lot of other businesses do it, to stay competitive. But again, I would just say this is a good fundamental briefing for us, but at the end of the day, I just would rather see what do you guys recommend?
Sir, I did want to also just mention, you talked about the inflation and the COLA, and we did, as we went through this review, we did look at some combination type programs. So, a portion of it being some type of cost of living adjustment, and then on top of that, the high performers maybe could earn additional. I think, a great step, again, thanks to council, that the ECI has provided us now the foundation to build on in terms of applying an inflation factor to our pay bands so that we can, move those along. It's small and it's incrementally, obviously, start out with, but excuse me, the hope is that we would get to 2% each year to apply to the pay bands. So at least, you know, that is some piece of the, I don't know if you want to call it cost of living increase.
Again, that's a great concept, but again, I don't think we necessarily need to adjust up the pay band 2% every year. At the end of the day, if the cost of living goes up 1%, giving everybody 2% is just throwing money down a hole. I mean, if the cost of living goes up 3%, then giving them 2% isn't helping them either. So, I mean, to me, if you're going to look at a cost basis one, it's looking at, you know,
The CPI.
the cost index for the country or for this region and say, okay, you know, it's gone up 1.2%. Well, then we can make a decision on going up 1 or 1.2 or 1.5 or whatever. I don't think I would never advocate for, and I don't think I would ever support just an automatic number that we apply to the pay bands every year. Because again, if the cost of living does not go up, why would we give a cost of living adjustment to the pay band? So anyway.
Well, I mean, Jessica has worked several options, and we can show those to you. If you want to see more options, we can come back and show you. You have them here?
I do have them here. I brought the backup slides of the additional, okay, no, another time.
But we can do that, if that's what council wants to see.
Well, as you know, nothing's more personal to any of us but wages. Wages. We all want to get paid a fair wage for the work we do. This council has done an extreme good job of providing, the pay scales for our public safety. We increased the minimum wage 1 year ahead of time. Thank you, Dr. Brown. That was one of my goals, and we accomplished it. But like I said, there were several interesting points that were presented here. Even with a 2% increase, for someone earning $30,000, they're looking at $600 increase. Compared to someone that is making $100,000, they are getting a $2,000 pay increase. The gap just keeps increasing between the lower and the higher. And if we continue this, it keeps increasing. It will always be that way because the lower wage worker is not getting compensated enough to keep up with inflation in some cases. That's why we're losing people. That's why we lose staff, because we're not paying them a fair wage. There has to be a way that we can go ahead and address this issue and pump some of the money that's coming from the top, cap it at one point to bring it back down to the bottom and increase it down here at the bottom. It's a hard job to do. It's not easy. And whatever the situation is going to be, even if we address it, what's going to happen is the people at the top are going to get upset because we didn't give them the 2%. But the problems are there. It doesn't matter where it's going to hit it, at the bottom or at the top. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, and it's still going to continue to be work even after we're all long gone. I can tell you about that. But thank you. Thanks for putting this together. Okay. No other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll move on to a roll call confirmation. Our city secretary, Brenda Dennis, will provide us a roll call confirmation for agenda items, consent items 1 through 11, and also discussion items 12 and 13. Ms. Dennis?
Yes, sir. Consent agenda items 1 through 11, a motion was made by Councilmember Whitaker, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Dalla. Mayor Pro Tem Dalla, Councilmembers Davis, Scott, Whitaker, Scagliola, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed. Item number 12, ordinance number 21T34 on first reading. A motion was made by Councilmember Scagliola, seconded by Councilmember Scott. Mayor Pro Tem Dalla, Councilmember Scott, Whitaker, Scagliola, Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Dalla, Councilmembers Davis, Scott, Whitaker, Scagliola, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed. Item number 11, ordinance number 21T35 on first reading.
No, that was 12.
I'm sorry, item number 13.
13.
Ordinance number 21T35 on first reading. Motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Dalla, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Dalla, Councilmembers Davis, Scott, Whitaker, Scaglione, Brown voted yes, no one voted no, motion passed.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. All right, we have closed session. We actually have two topics on our closed session. Item number 17, the City Council will meet in closed session as permitted by Section 551.071 of the Texas Governmental Code to confer and receive legal advice about litigation and/or a settlement concerning the City of Schertz and the Animal Adoption Center. And item number 18, the City Council will meet in closed session as permitted by Section 551.071 of the Texas Governmental Code to confer and receive legal action about litigation and/or a settlement offering concerning the opioid litigation settlement. The time is now 7:33. We will convene after our discussion. 8:02. The time is now 8:02. We reconvene into a regular session after our discussion and deliberation regarding our closed session in reference to agenda item number 17. We received legal advice on the settlement offer concerning the city of Schertz, the Animal Adoption Center. The chair is making the motion to approve the settlement regarding the Animal Adoption Center and authorizing our city manager, Dr. Brown, to sign the agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilmember Brown. Council, any other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. We also received legal advice on item number 18 regarding the settlement offer concerning the opioid litigation settlement. There is no action for consideration at this time, so we just need a roll call confirmation on item number 17.
Yes, sir. Item number 17A, a motion was made by the chair, seconded by Councilmember Brown, to approve the settlement agreement regarding the Animal Adoption Center and authorize the city manager, Dr. Brown, to sign the agreement. Motion was made by the chair, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Dalla, Councilmembers Davis, Scott, Whitaker, Scagliola, Brown voted yes. No one voted no. Motion passed.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. All right, we'll go on to requests and announcements. Dr. Brown, any further announcements?
The only announcement I have, Mayor, is that we have received our American Rescue Plan funds. Our $5.2 million did come in the other day, so exactly. So we're ready to go.
All right. Council, any possible updates or information requested from staff? Council, any possible items you'd like to place on a future agenda item? Yes, Councilmember Scott?
I want to lobby for having a venue or a forum to be able to see the candidates that are running for city council. Is there no way to have an event not during work hours? Not everybody is retired, and I believe we should make alternative times available to people who are in the workforce. I don't have the statistics, but I venture to say it's over 50% of our population. My constituents do not want to have to take time off of work, money out of their own pocket to meet the people who are going to represent them. I feel very strongly about that. I would love to see that addressed.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Scott. I will look into that. Okay. All right, announcements by council members or events attended. Mayor Pro Tem Dalla?
I got a couple, Chamber Luncheon, the Northeast Partnership Luncheon, and then this afternoon before council, Cibolo Valley Local Government Corporation meeting.
Councilmember Davis?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Councilmember Scott?
Not at this time.
Councilmember Whitaker?
The Chamber Luncheon as well. I guess the Northeast Partnership Luncheon. I realize that was the last 2 weeks. And then the Chamber Bowl, the city of Schertz represented well. I feel good about our not losing. Thank you.
Councilmember Scagliola?
Yeah, I went to the chamber luncheon. They brought it back to our civic center, so that was good.
Okay. Councilmember Brown?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Okay. The time is now 8:07. We stand adjourned.